Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today I have a super random list of garden tasks that I'm trying to get accomplished because I'm really in my final weeks before I leave for a month and I'm feeling the pressure. So today's video is actually going to be talking about planting bulbs, summer active bulbs, not daffodils and tulips, but rather some really interesting bulbs that I got from Jenks Farmer. He's an incredible plantsman down in South Carolina, and he sent me a couple surprise things. So the first thing is Zephyranthes candida. This is a really beautiful white rain lily. This is going to get planted in the ground, and these always bloom after a heavy rain. Now these are technically native, so they actually can go into one of the native borders here at the White House. Okay, I've also got Scodoxis multiflorus, the blood lily. Now, this has actually been hardy in the ground for me, but where I planted it doesn't quite get enough sun for it to bloom well. So I've decided, because I have 3 bulbs, I'm gonna actually put these in a container. That way I won't have to worry about hardiness because I can always just bring the container into the greenhouse in the winter. And then finally, he sent me Amorphophallus bulbifer. And this is definitely hardy in the ground. So I think I'm just gonna find a good part sun spot and go ahead and plant these permanently. I have a couple different Amorphophallus. My recommendation always is to plant them really far away from entertainment areas because when they flower, they smell like rotten meat. So these are gonna go probably more towards the back of the garden at the Blue House. So let's go scout some locations and get these bulbs planted. So because I have it, and it's right here in the greenhouse, I'm gonna go ahead and fill this pot with my my Happy Frog, which is from Fox Farm. And I usually use soil cube. I'm just being lazy, I'll confess. I have the soil cube. I'm just trying to get this done quickly. So this will also be a lot lighter compared to what I'm used to. For my containers, but admittedly harder to keep watered in the summer, but I can keep this container located somewhere really close to a hose so that it won't be so bad. So I'm going to go ahead and make this Scodoxis pot a kind of cool season spring foodscape container. So I'm going to go ahead and also add some edible and ornamental plants along with the bulbs. All right, well, as you can see, I've got a nice selection and actually hosting a class on Sunday. It's sold out, which I'm really excited about. All about foodscaping and containers, and everybody's gonna make a container to take home. So I have a lot of plants right now for the preparations of Sunday's class. What we have right now, remember this is the first week of April, mid-central North Carolina. We've got dianthus, which are starting to bloom. We've got Ms. America Mizuna. I've got celery that I grew from seed. I have a yellow flowering calendula. And I've got a snapdragon that I'm gonna put right in the middle. Then I'm gonna plant these Scodoxis bulbs about, I'm gonna say 10 inches deep. So they're gonna be the first thing that gets planted. And the way I have these plants oriented, they shouldn't block the Scodoxis from being able to grow out, recognizing that a lot of this stuff will melt once it gets really hot in the summer, and it can just be replaced with summer tolerant plants. Because here in North Carolina, a lot of the stuff that we grow in the fall, winter, and spring doesn't actually make it through the reality of what our summers are. So now I am just getting these put in. Nothing complicated, unless your roots are like really root bound. I don't actually rip these open. I used to, and I've found that actually it just isn't always to your benefit. An example of one that could be ripped to some degree is this dianthus, and really I'm just doing one central rip on the bottom. Even that I find in general isn't as necessary as people sometimes try to make it sound to be. It's different with woody plants than it is with herbaceous stuff. So recognize that there's a pretty big difference between annual flowers and trees and shrubs. All right, I'm gonna put this snapdragon right in the middle. That's gonna kind of be the main thriller. I don't really have any proper trailing elements in here to be the spiller, but I have plenty of fillers. And just like that, got those bulbs planted, and I've got a beautiful spring container foodscape that will definitely be in full bloom for the May 17th and 18th Fuquay-Varina garden tour that we are on. Okay, let's head to the garden and find a spot for the other bulbs. So here in the native perennial pocket, I have a little open area, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and plant the Zephyranthes candida here, mostly because I'll really be able to enjoy them. That's the main point. This is a space that I see every day, every time I walk out of the house, and so I wanted to put these somewhere where they would be on my radar. I'm gonna do one massive planting instead of dividing them up, because if I've learned anything from these native borders, it's that mass planting makes a bigger impact. And just so you guys can really see what I'm working with here, it's all sand. There's essentially no organic matter in this bed. This is definitely a bed that's proving to be a survival of the fittest. And the fittest plants are Solidago and Pycnanthemum, without hesitation, which shouldn't be a surprise. Okay, I don't think it's that important, but I'm gonna go ahead and orient them properly, pointy side up. And again, I want this to be a mass planting. They should naturalize by seed, and they do flower very consistently after a heavy summer rain. That's why they're called rain lilies. Well, the funny thing about this location is, though it's in the back of the garden, it's actually an area I interact with on a daily basis because my compost pile is here. This is where I dump all my kitchen scraps. So this is actually prime real estate that I'm gonna go ahead and plant the Amorphophallus in. I'm gonna take this opportunity though to get out some more of these winter active weeds. Chickweed is particularly bad. The summer active grasses are starting to come out of dormancy. It's a never-ending process. So I'm not gonna plant these in mass. I'm gonna just dig individual holes. And these bulbs are really nice and big. Jenks is such an incredible horticulturalist, and he has a wonderful crinum farm. I'm gonna put a link to his website in the description so that you can check out what he does. He has a small nursery. They offer events, really, really cool stuff. It's very much what I'm trying to emulate with the greenhouse. He's basically my mentor and role model. And pre-pandemic, we'd actually looked at buying a farmhouse adjacent to him and starting an agro-tourism venture together. Unfortunately, the pandemic changed everybody's plans, but it's still, well, still a nice fantasy. All right, last one. This is actually a really rooty area. Granted, I am planting next to a cryptomeria. Get that in, cover it up, and now when it smells really bad because these are flowering, I'll have to remember it's the Amorphophallus and not the compost. Well, everybody, I hope this will inspire you to order some summer active bulbs. You're not too late. You can totally get them ordered. They'll really like spice up the summer. It's a fun thing. I know they're not kind of as normal as fall planted bulbs that bloom in the spring, but I think you'll find that there's a really good selection of really interesting things that you might not have ever grown before. Well, as always, thanks so much for watching, and happy gardening, everybody.